All about Moringa. First of all, I want you to look at these prices on these health products that are made from Moringa. Look how much people are paying for it. Now, do you see these seeds? You can buy seeds for just $1 a piece, and in just 1 year, it can become a tree from a seed. And then you could have an endless supply of Moringa for decades. In this video, I'm going to share with you the health benefits of Moringa, different ways to consume it, how to grow and harvest it, how to dehydrate and powder and store the leaves, and how you can prepare and eat the pods, and finally, how to purify water with the seeds. First of all, what is Moringa? Well, it's known as the drumstick tree, the tree of life, and the miracle tree. Its leaves contain a wide range of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, and it is native to northwestern India. In my backyard, I have a bunch of Moringa trees. The two taller ones are about 2.5 years old, and all the rest of them are just a little bit over a year old. Moringa is high in vitamins A, C, and E, several B vitamins, calcium, iron, magnesium, potassium, and zinc, and it is considered a complete protein source. Contains all 9 essential amino acids. It contains antioxidants which help reduce inflammation. It helps control blood sugar. It can reduce cholesterol, which lowers heart disease risk, and it promotes healthy skin and hair due to its high vitamin content. There are different ways that you can eat Moringa. One way is to eat the fresh leaves. You could put those in salads, add them to smoothies. You can dry the leaves and grind them into a fine powder. This is the way I like to do it, to add it into my smoothies, and then you can sprinkle it on your meals and your salads. It does have a interesting flavor. Not everybody likes it, so I like to hide mine in the smoothies because that's the way that I don't really taste it as much. And then you could also make tea with it. Another way I like to eat Moringa leaves is in soups and stews. Kind of just looks like another herb, another kind of vegetable leaf in there. And you can put it in stir fries. You can also eat the pods, not the pods themselves, but what's inside of them. The outer part of it is pretty tough, but in Indian food, Moringa pods are often cooked in curries. They can cut them into pieces and then simmer it with spices, tomatoes, and other ingredients, maybe potatoes. I've found some interesting, authentic Indian recipes here on YouTube, and they were delicious. You can boil or steam them. What you're going to do is you're going to eat the inside of it. And it does have a kind of interesting texture like okra. So some people don't like that, but it's so healthy for you. It's good for your digestion. You can also eat the seeds when they are fresh off of the tree and they haven't dried yet. They're going to be a light green color, and then after they dry in the pods, they're going to be a brown color, and that's when they're ready for planting. So you can eat them raw or roasted. I have not tried doing this yet, so if anybody has tried this, let me know how you liked it in the comments. Maybe you could share a recipe with us. You can also make oil from the seeds if you have like a seed press, and it can be used in cooking, skincare, and hair care. And you can even eat the flowers. I have not done this yet. I'm a little scared, but I'm gonna try it. They are edible, and you can use them in salads or soups, and supposedly they have a delicate flavor. They could be used in some traditional medicines, and you could even fry them, batter and fry them into little fritters. I haven't personally tried these or used this brand of capsules, but you can buy capsules and then you can put the Moringa powder into them. Some people would probably prefer to do that because the taste, like I said, is kind of strong. Like, it is also known as the horseradish tree, so it has like a little kick to it. So how do we grow a Moringa tree? So if you live in a colder area, don't leave now because there are ways that you can do it too. I'm going to share with you how I'm growing it here in a hot zone in the United States, and then I will let you know how you can do it further north. I've seen a YouTuber from Canada with a Moringa tree that she keeps in a pot and brings in the house over the winter. So it can be done. Anyway, they do grow rapidly and they don't need a lot of space. It just depends on how you're going to use them. If you are going to keep your trees outside and plant them directly into the ground, they grow best in zones 9 through 11. I'm in 10A. It just switched to 10A from 9B because we went up a little bit here in Central Florida. But they definitely do prefer the warmer weather, and they are sensitive to frost. They thrive in warm, tropical, and subtropical climates with well-drained soil. Make sure the planting area receives plenty of sunlight because they do need at least 6 hours of direct sunlight daily. More would be fine. I'm in Central Florida, and we have very, very sandy soil, and they're doing well without much attention from me. I don't even fertilize them. If you are in a place where it freezes, it's best to plant in the spring after the last frost. And if you are in a tropical or subtropical region, you could plant them any time of the year. The canopy spread can vary, but it usually ranges from about 10 to 15 feet. And it just kind of depends on how old the tree is and how you prune it. If you prune it as a bush or a shrub, it can be 10 to 20 feet. That's what I've been doing. Or if you let it continue to get taller, it could reach a height of 30 to 40 feet. When you're planting your trees, it's a good idea to have them at least 10 to 15 feet apart so that they have place to spread out. And if you are using them as a windbreak, some people like to, use them as a border around your yard so that you can have more shade, or, the wind doesn't damage other plants in your garden. If you're doing that, you can plant them closer, like 6 to 10 feet. And, you can just trim it and keep it shorter and narrower if you need to. They can be grown in pots or in the ground. They do have a taproot, so it's better to have more height than width in your pot. So the deeper it can go, the better it will grow. It doesn't necessarily need to get too wide. They're fast growing. Like I said, they can reach to full maturity in as little as 9 months, and they can grow 20 feet per year. Many gardeners like myself prefer to prune them so that it's easier for us to harvest the leaves and pods and just to take care of it. As far as your seed preparation goes, it's best to obtain high quality seeds from a reliable source. They should be mature, plump, and free of disease. You can soak the seeds in water for 24 to 36 hours before planting them, and this helps to soften the seed coat and improve the chances of successful germination. I planted mine into small pots until they got larger, and then I transferred them to my yard. For container gardening, you can use a large pot. The taller it is, the better. It doesn't have to be super wide, and then it should be at least 12 inches in diameter and depth. I'd recommend a little bit taller unless you're trying to keep it really small. You could always start them in smaller containers, and then once they get bigger, transfer them into bigger pots. You can transplant the seedlings when they are 4 to 6 inches tall and have developed a few sets of leaves. I had better luck because we have very intense sun here, so I had better luck waiting until mine were about 2 feet high, because I think when they're younger, the Florida sun and heat can be too much for the smaller seedlings. And then you can prepare the planting holes to be twice as wide as the root ball, and then the hole should be about the same depth as the root ball. And then gently remove the seedlings from the container, place the plant into the hole and backfill with the soil, and then water thoroughly after planting to help settle the soil around the roots. And then you should water every day for a week or two, and then after that, it probably will only need to be watered once a week if it's not raining where you are. You could apply mulch around the base of the tree to help retain moisture and suppress weeds. Just make sure to keep it away from the trunk so it doesn't rot. And I didn't put any mulch around my trees, and they are doing fine. I always just chop and drop. So anytime I am pruning anything in my yard, I just let it go to the ground. And then when I cut the grass, or should I say when I cut the weeds, because it's partial grass, but it's mostly weeds now, then I just chop that stuff up, and then it goes back to the soil and helps to replenish it with nutrients. Moringa trees do not need a lot of fertilizer, but you could apply a balanced fertilizer or compost once or twice a year to promote healthy growth. I did not fertilize mine at all, and my yard, it's survival of the fittest, because I want plants that I don't have to pay much attention to. So the ones that are surviving are the ones that I'm going to have for a while. So far, most of them have survived, so I am very lucky for that and thankful. Pruning. When you are pruning your moringa trees, you don't have to be too careful. They are resilient. Over the winter, my first winter, some of my moringa trees lost all of their leaves, so they looked like sticks in the ground. But then when spring came, they started growing, like little branches and leaves started growing out of the trunk at different places, at the bottom, at the top. It is amazing. That's why it's the miracle tree for real. Regular pruning can help manage the size of the tree and encourage a bushier growth habit. This can be better for harvesting.
This is all I harvested from that tree.
This tree used to be twice as tall, but I just cut down a lot of the branches, and I'm gonna mow the lawn and just cut it all up and drop and chop. Normally when they're getting about my height, I cut the top
So this is the first cut I ever made, and then everything else branches down below it. And then some of these branches get big, so I just prune them off.
So it usually takes the tree about 8 months to a year to start producing leaves and pods. I don't know if it's in a pot, if it's going to get the pods. I don't know if it's going to get big enough and mature enough to get the pods. If anybody has done this and it worked, let me know in the comments, please. Let us know. But the leaves can be harvested like right away, 6 to 8 weeks after planting. And the pods usually take about 8 months. Some good companion plants would be beans, peas, and other legumes that fix nitrogen into the soil, and then avoid planting with heavy feeders that may compete for nutrients. I planted mine in different parts of the yard, and most of them are doing well. Some are even in the partial shade. So as always, bees and butterflies are beneficial insects because they help with pollination. And do they ever love the moringa flowers? I see them in my moringa flowers all the time. And ladybugs and spiders can help control the pests. Some common pests would be aphids, caterpillars, and whiteflies, and I haven't had any problems with pests on any of my trees. You can harvest leaves when the tree's about 6 months old. Actually, I've done it when they're younger, as long as they seem to be kind of a strong plant. And the pods, you can harvest those when they're about 6 to 8 inches. I wait till mine are more like 1.5 feet to 2 feet.
This is how the moringa pods look when they're drying. They can get 12 inches to 2 feet long. I've seen some really long ones before.
Like I said before, in the winter months, a lot of my trees lost all of their leaves. Some look like sticks in the ground, and I just left them there. I was going to take them out because I thought, probably not going to grow back, but they grew back. So if you see some sticks in the winter, wait till spring, let me know what happened. Ways to preserve moringa are to dry the leaves for use in teas. You can make them into powders and use it as a seasoning. You can freeze the fresh leaves. Some people say that you should blanch them first. I don't usually freeze mine, but if I did, I probably would blanch it first and then freeze it. And then you could also extract the oil from the seeds and save it as oil. Now we're going to talk about how to make moringa powder. First, you're going to harvest your leaves, rinse and dry them. After you wash and dry the leaves, spread them out on the racks of your dehydrator and make sure they don't overlap each other. Then slide all of the racks into your dehydrator. I set mine for 90 degrees and I let it go for about 17 to 18 hours. You have to figure out what works best for you because the temperature and time might be different depending on the climate where you live and the type of dehydrator that you have. When the leaves are dry, they should be crispy and not have any moisture left in them. Put them in the blender and blend until it is mostly powder. I blend mine in a regular blender, but you can use a nut grinder or maybe a coffee grinder. I sift the powder into a mason jar and I blend the bigger pieces again or discard it. Sometimes the stems do not blend well. Then sift again in the mason jar. A lot of leaves make a little bit of powder, so in just 1 teaspoon you are getting a lot of nutrition. You can store it in a mason jar for up to 6 months, but its nutrients will decline over time. To maximize its shelf life, you can store it in a cool, dry, and dark place. One of my favorite ways to consume moringa powder is in a banana pineapple berry smoothie. Purifying water. So moringa seeds have natural coagulant properties that can help purify water by removing impurities and bacteria. So this natural method is useful in areas without access to conventional water purification systems. So try this at your own risk. Like I said, I've never tried it, and there's chances if you have contaminated water that it's not gonna completely purify it. So you should conduct a test before you actually drink it. And then you might even want to boil it. And then if it is in fact good, store it in a clean covered container to prevent recontamination. First step is to gather your moringa seeds. You're going to use mature moringa seeds, which can be obtained from dried moringa pods. The seeds should be fully mature and dry. Next, you're going to remove the seeds from the pods and shell them to obtain the seed kernels. You need the white or yellowish kernel inside of the hard shell. Then you're going to crush the kernels into a fine powder using a mortar and pestle, blender or grinder. And then the finer the powder, the more effective it will be in purifying the water. Next, you're going to mix the moringa seed powder with a small amount of clean water to form a paste. Typically, 1 seed is sufficient to purify about 1 liter of water, but the exact amount can vary depending on the turbidity of the water. Next, mix the paste with the water and then stir the mixture vigorously for 1 to 2 minutes. And this will help to disperse the active ingredients from the moringa seeds throughout the water. After stirring, let the water sit undisturbed for at least an hour. During this time, the moringa seeds' coagulant properties will help clump together suspended particles and impurities, causing them to settle at the bottom of the container. Then carefully pour the clear water from the top into another container, avoiding disturbing the settled sediments at the bottom. You could use a clean cloth or a coffee filter or a fine mesh to further filter out any remaining particles. And then it's recommended to boil the water for at least 5 to 10 minutes after purification. And there you have your natural and eco-friendly method to purify water. So what are you waiting for? Start growing your moringa tree now. I mean, it is nutritious, easy to grow, and you won't regret it. If you have any questions that I didn't answer in this video, please comment below and I'll make another video to answer your questions. Thanks for watching. If you'd like this information, please give me a like. If you want more information like this, consider subscribing. I have videos on here of my gardening experience. I'm creating a food forest in my backyard. I'm trying to. It's in process. And you'll see a lot of dog videos too. So anyway, have a great day.